Why don't we go ahead and get things started? All right. Well, welcome everyone to a Rhone Rangers virtual experience. We hope you're all well and safe. We still got some uncertain weather in most of the United States, and we're still dealing with our COVID situation. So we hope you are all doing well. My name is Tony Quayle. I am the general manager here at Thatcher Winery in Paso, Robles. I am also the president of the Rhone Rangers organization. Today, you will be joining us for our discussion on Syrah because it is International Syrah Day. I would like to introduce our moderator first for today's discussion, Ian Blackburn. Since 1995, Ian has worked in wine education, starting the internet's first education website, learnaboutwine.com, which is being relaunched as we speak as a digital classroom. Ian is a winemaker for his family's Zinfandel-focused beekeeper cellars in Sonoma County and hosts weekly events on zoomintowine.com. He's also a buyer and spokesperson for Merchant of Wine, featuring free delivery in the LA local area, $10 delivery in California. Ian, welcome.
Wow, thanks, man. I was looking around for some money to pass over to you for all that plug, but I really appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to be a presenter today.
Excellent. I'll let you go ahead and introduce our panel and get this discussion started.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sitting in downtown Los Angeles, moderating this discussion. I've got 4 beautiful bottles of wine around me, and we're going to take you through a series of tastings with each of the winemakers. We're going to get started with Mireia. Henna, sorry for butchering your name. I'm trying my best. Is that Brazilian?
It's Catalan.
Catalan.
Yes.
Excellent.
From the northeast of Spain.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Mireia. I said it right that time?
Pretty good, yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
I'm getting there. Well, I'm got a beautiful PowerPoint ready for us. Let me see if I can share my screen and get that up. Here we go. And how long have you been Camins to Dreams? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Camins to Dreams, it's a fairly new project. It's in 2017, we started it with my wife and myself. So Camins, it's actually also in Catalan, it means path. Mm-hmm. So when Tara, which is my wife, Tara Gomez, and I met, we used to travel a lot. I'm from Spain, she's from here, California. So we used to go back and forth traveling and just visiting different wine regions and taking all these routes and paths. And we always say that it was like through all these travels and all these routes and paths that led us to where we are now, which is our dream winery here in Santa Barbara County. So that's what the name comes from. Camins to Dreams is the path to our dreams. And in 2017, we started with just like a couple of barrels of Syrah. We wanted to focus on cool climate Syrahs because we love Northern Rhone. And we thought that Syrah was a variety that was like really thriving here in Santa Rita Hills. And we just wanted to kind of stay away a little bit of Pinot and Chardonnay at the beginning because we were just starting and there's so much Pinot and Chardonnay, and that's what Santa Rita Hills it's known for, but Syrah is doing great. And we decided to start just like really slowly. So that was our first vintage. And now we're still super small. We're still around 400 case production. And our focus is mainly to showcase different vineyards of Syrah. So we have like 4 different wines that are vineyard designated Syrahs. And then we also make a little bit of Gruner, and we're adding some Grenache, some Graciano this year. So slowly growing different varieties, but yes, Syrah is our main focus here. We think that it's a variety that works great in Santa Rita Hills with the cool climate. You get a little bit more of that spiciness and earthiness. That's what we really look for in our wines. And if anybody's tasting here, this 2018 Zotovich, it's so floral and it has that really earthy, spicy, peppery characteristic that we love from Santa Rita Hills. Mm-hmm. So that's how we started here. And
me ask you, how many total cases are you making?
So right now we're doing around 450.
So a very teeny brand. Are you
Yes.
are you selling it only at your tasting room, direct to consumer?
Well, when we started, yeah, that's like what everybody wants, like, right? Like sell everything direct to consumer if you can. But we released our wines at August of 2019. So we really were open only for like 8 months before everything shut down. So we had to experiment a little bit and see, okay, let's look out of the box. And we were lucky enough to find some distribution. So we're now also selling through all California through Amy Atwood Selections, which is our distributor. She's really small distributor focusing on natural winemaking. And then we also have like little distribution in New York, New Jersey, and Washington State.
Fantastic. Now the one that we're tasting today is from the Zotovich Vineyard. And that's got a really cool story behind it, really amazing soils. And as I'm looking at it in the glass, this is a 2018, it's just purple, saturated. It's got a beautiful nose.
Yeah, so Zotovich Vineyard, it's been in Santa Rita Hills for a while already, but the block where we actually get this fruit from was planted just in 2014. So Zotovich was planted all like in the valley, you could call it, like right in the 246, like all this flat area that you see here in the front of the picture, and then the hill area that you see right there on the top, that's where this Syrah comes from. So that was planted in 2000, exactly that. That was planted in 2014. So still pretty young vines. And it was planted at a little bit high density. So it's all 6x4 and we get like really low yields there. So I think it makes like a really nice concentrated fruit for being such young vines. You still get like a lot of that inky color and deep concentration, but the tannins are really soft and really silky. So that's what I really like from this vineyard.
Well, the nose is gorgeous and really takes you to this place in Santa Rita Hills, known as a cooler climate for sure. And also that sense of earthiness that you're going to get kind of, a little bit more of from Zotovich because of that diatomaceous earth, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all in Santa Rita Hills, we're lucky to have this soil that gives us a lot of minerality. Not only the diatomaceous earth, but also, like we get like a mix of clay and sandy soils, which they are really interesting. And it makes our wines to have like, for some reason, really low pH and really nice natural acidity, which for us at Camins to Dreams, it's really important because we do everything natural here. We don't add anything to the wine. It's all wild yeast fermented and it's unfined and filtered, but we also don't do any addition. So it helps a lot when you have a soil or like a climate that helps having your pH low and your acidity already high.
Great. Well, let's take a look at a couple other slides here. Obviously, you're doing everything by hand.
Yeah, we try to like do the most that we can. It's only a team of two. It's only Tara and I, and we try to work really close with all the vineyard management teams on the different vineyards that we source the fruit from. And we always there for each peak. We always like to be there and, like do that first quality control, because yeah, when you can do anything at the winery in terms of like chemistry, it's what it comes from the vineyard. So you really want to be sure that what it comes, it's perfect. So yeah, we love to go early in the morning to pick our grapes and just do that first quality control process there.
Well, it looks kind of like showroom fruit coming in there.
It comes really good from there. I can't complain.
Outstanding. And you have your own little processing facility.
Yes, we have a little winery in the middle of Lompoc, in downtown Lompoc, where it's still like, like we don't have much equipment, but we are lucky that we have a cold room, which helps a lot with the process. So we don't need glycol tanks and stuff, but all the beans and little tanks can go in and out the cold room. That helps a lot. And then everything else, we just do like really like palm pours. We try to minimize them if we even do any. We do everything punch downs or like foot stomping, and everything else like when we feel the barrels or anything. We do everything gravity flow. So we don't really need much equipment. We do have a little pump, but that's it. But yeah, we just try to keep it like really simple and trying to showcase really the fruit and each site where we source grapes from.
Fantastic. And if people wanted to find your wine, they can go to your website.
Yes, we have an online website. It's comeins2dreams.com. You can reach us there, and we have online shopping there. Yeah, that's the easiest way. And if you are like somewhere in California or like in any other state, you can just shoot us an email and we'll let you know which store you can purchase your wines that it's closer to you if you want to do some retail shopping too. That's, as I say, like we have some distribution now. So hopefully we'll find store close to you if you need anything. But if not, yeah, our online store, it's just easy.
Well, it is a gorgeous wine, and I'm going to recommend people make a little effort to find this unique offering. It's a beautiful single vineyard. Santa Rita Hills has its own way of presenting, and we have the luxury of tasting wines from 3 very different parts of California today. And this is a wonderful place to start. And how much is a bottle of your Syrah?
So the Zotovich, it's $46 retail, $46. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, truly excellent. Really a beautiful way to start this presentation.
You have a couple of questions, Ian?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Tom Hill, which is more cold climates, Santa Rita Hills or Bienesito? And he wants to know what clones are in this wine.
I would say Santa Rita Hills, probably.
Yeah, a little closer to the ocean. And
yes,
I believe the science backs you up there. Whether
it's not that it's really colder. I think it's just like it never gets warm in Santa Rita Hills.
Never.
It doesn't get warm. So it's not that it's cold, because it's really not cold ever either. I say like it's the perfect weather. We're all year at 60 degrees. So it's good.
And he also wanted to know what clones.
So this one, it's a blend of Alban and 363.
Okay. And James wants to know if you have your wines with Vendome Wines in Toccola Lake, California.
Where's that? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Vendome is a small retailer in Toluca Lake. Really good people there. Hi, David.
Not that I know, but I can ask our distributor actually if they sell there. I really don't know it if we have them there.
I'm sure Amy gets there. She's a great broker, by the way. She's really good at what she does.
Amy is great. Yeah, we're super happy with her. She's done a great job this year with all the difficulties for us. So we're really happy to have our wines on her portfolio.
Thank you. Shall we move on to Calcareous?
Yes.
All right, Jason, your turn. Let's go through the motions here, and let me get a little wine in my glass and pull up the PowerPoint. Calcareous, how long have you been associated with Calcareous?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
All right, good. I've been here since 2007. Was my first vintage as cellar person, and just kind of a harvest intern. But then became I've been head winemaker since 2010.
Wow. A lot of things have been happening in Paso. So you've gotten a nice 13-year look at one of the most dynamic wine developments in recent history.
Yeah, I kind of, not knowing much about the wine industry in 2007, looking back now, it's interesting to see what I lucked into as far as getting in the ground floor on this part of Paso Robles with a vineyard like this, and just seeing how it's developed since then. It's been pretty amazing.
Fantastic. We're tasting today the 2018 Syrah, Devil's Canyon.
Devil's Canyon, yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, it would be block 6 on that map. I think later on they'll show you a photo where you can kind of see a photo of the topography. If map readers there can probably see the the steepness of the vineyard. but this is probably it's a warm climate Syrah. I know a lot of people advertise their cool climate Syrahs, and that's one thing that I love about Syrah is that not only like all great varietals does it really speak to its place, but man, can Syrah really speak to a wide magnitude of places. And what shows in cool climate, I wish I could have drinking that previous wine. I love the fact when people are making Syrah in Santa Rita Hills, and, as opposed to just, you know, like people think of like, oh, Pinot and Chard, it's cool climate. Syrahs are beautiful in cool climate. But what it shows at our vineyard, that's the block 6 is in that picture there, the closest kind of up and down site there. So that's directly southwest, just right into blazing sun. And it's beautiful that Syrah can just handle it. A lot of other varietals will shut down in intense heat. A lot of the varietals will get blown out and lose their acidity. The combination of our soils and the nature of Syrah allows us to produce this big warm climate Syrah, but then has this massive backbone. So, you know, we're picking this at like 3, 4, 5 pH and around 27 bricks. So it's super ripe, but has all the acid. So how I like to describe this wine is you have this really, it's real outsized in all of its personality parts as you read it. The tannins are outsized, the acid's outsized, the fruit's outsized. It's just a very big, you know, representation of Syrah.
Yeah, we're at 15.4 alcohol here, but honestly, I don't smell that in the nose. This is a big, muscular, rich, and the nose is glorious, but it's quite the juxtaposition from our the Zotovich, which was 13.5 and beautiful, and had that sense of earthiness and kind of a more restrained balance to it. This is a little bit more bold and vocal, and it's got this really amazing spice set that's really showing off kind of that cinnamon and brown spices, and you're getting that really you know, vocal type of a notion here. And the mouthfeel is a little different too, because when we put the Santa Rita Hills in our mouth, we feel a little bit more crunchy, and here it's just kind of singing and riper and richer, and a little different tactile sensation. Do you like those descriptions?
Yeah. I mean, it really speaks to like Syrah on the west side of Paso Robles. You're going to have these big, rounder, richer kind of aspects to it, and you know, that's why I love Syrah and why I think Syrah has been so successful here in Paso is it can really sing in all these different places so beautifully. Like, I'm sorry, like if I grew Pinot on this site where we're growing this Syrah, it would be terrible. You know, it just it wouldn't work out. But Syrah is something that you can, in cool climate, it shows itself in this different way. In this warm climate that we're in, and we're literally, when you look at like, if you're a data-driven person, I am not much of a data-driven winemaker. I'm much more of a sense and feel winemaker. But when you look at weather station data, we're one of the hottest places in the entire Paso Robles AVA as far as our exact location. And Paso, the Syrah can handle that Paso heat. Some of the other stuff, some of the Mourvedre and Grenache, which on this map you're looking at right now, are kind of on the back side of the vineyard, and they kind of face more east. The Syrah is all these plantations you see there are kind of on a downslope facing southwest. It's all Syrah because it can just handle it and just expresses itself in this real beautiful way. And you know, some of the cooler climate Syrahs I really love because they have kind of that black pepper aromas and the kind of these real spicier notes. We don't exactly get that in our Syrah. You know, we get this elevated ripeness level, but it never gets overripe. And I think that's just it's a real testament to Syrah. And I think why Syrah has literally, I feel, Syrah has put Paso Robles on the map in a lot of the ways, because as a varietal, it just handles and shines in our unique climate in a very special way.
94 points, Wine Spectator. Spectator points out massive blueberry.
Yeah, it's nice job security for the winemaker there.
Yeah, it's good. Smoky cracked pepper, beef, combined with robust tannins, create an expressive
logged out?
Syrah. No, you're good. You're good. I hear you. You're right there. But what is our approximate price point here, Jason? Can you hear me, Jason? Jason, you might have froze back there. I think Jason's frozen. Doesn't he look frozen?
He does.
But at least it caught him in a good pose. I would be the guy that would get frozen with my mouth like half open, something like that. But I believe the Calcareous Syrah is around $50. And let's see if are there any questions. Oh, Jason, okay. There you are. You're back.
Jason's back.
I don't know what happened. I briefly logged out. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
It's all right, Jason. What is the approximate bottle cost of your wine?
That's raw. This raw is 56.
And Martin Redmond would like to know what the sub AVA is.
Sub AVA is Adelaida district, but I'm personally just a big fan of Paso Robles, so I generally don't promote the sub AVAs of Paso. I love putting Paso. I just came of age in a generation that really was, Paso Robles we're all in the same boat together. So I always like to just, even though we're in the Adelaida district, I like to emphasize that and our wines come from Paso.
Nice. Well, really beautiful. And as I said, it's quite different than our first wine, but both are amazing and really do show off, the different ends of the spectrum for the grape variety Syrah. And one of the reasons why we love the grapes so much is you could go all over the world and really kind of tell where you're at, because Syrah is a great lens to really bring forward the character of the place, and yet still has some of these signature characteristics in color and smell and taste and feel. And this is a beautiful rendition of Paso through the lens of Syrah. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Ian.
All right. How are we doing, Craig? Any other questions we should worry about, or should we move on?
No, we can move on.
All right. Let's go back into our PowerPoint and go up just down the street, around the corner, a couple of golf shots away, Robert Hall. And today we're going to be tasting Robert Hall with, I believe, Amanda, are you representing Robert Hall today? Because it says Don Brady on my list, but.
Yeah. So Don Brady and I are in this photo. He's founding winemaker, and I came on in 2016. And so we make the wines together, and we have 130-acre estate and the winery, which is open for outside tasting finally. And we do a collection of Rhones each vintage, and Syrah is one we like to do every year. We have this great opportunity to work in all of the different districts in Paso, and that means that each year vintage will highlight something new or like the best, and that's why the Cavern Select name kind of came from for this wine. It's tasting room only, and it is predominantly from Willow Creek with a little bit of Adelaida blended in. So yeah, so you can see Adelaida and Paso Robles and the Willow Creek district of Paso Robles. They're on that western side, and you get good cooling influence, but also have these gravelly calcareous shale soils that Rhone varieties really thrive in. And we're able to kind of balance out like the savory, cooler Willow Creek with Adelaida in this wine and kind of layer different flavors and textures, which is something we really like to do at Robert Hall. Aged in 100% French oak, 40% new.
Really deep and dense. How much time in wood is that?
It's about 18 months, 16 to 18 months.
You can really feel that advancement, probably a combination of really good barrels too, right? This is not seeing this is seeing some really nice wood.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to build our tasting room program and continue to look at new vendors for barrels and then different vineyards for grapes. It's kind of a search every year, so we get to kind of perfect our craft as we go.
And there's it's really interesting because it kind of falls back, kind of a blend between that warmer climate that we just found in the wine of Calcareous and the Caverns to Dreams wine, which was a cooler climate. This kind of lands right in the middle. It's got a little bit of both going on, and really nice dense richness in the mouth. You've got 15% alcohol, your pH around 3.7. Numbers look like this is just a really nice vineyard driven wine. Is there anything else special? I see you add 8% Grenache to it. Just a little family blend there. Is it something is that the way the vineyard's planted, or is that just about creating the nicest blend you can?
That's a blending decision. So we're able to, with Syrah, it can be very stiff, and Grenache, by adding a little bit, you kind of flesh out the middle and really kind of focus on the fruit. And so that was like a barrel, and it felt right when we were making our bottling blends.
Cool. I think wine, sometimes I like to talk about wine, like compare it to music or to art. There's so many parallels. And I think our first wine today had something very elegant, very restrained, very pretty, very focused on place, very singular, like a violin solo. Whereas Calcareous was definitely rock and roll. That thing was a guitar screaming, that was Eddie Van Halen in his last performance. And here we got kind of a nice orchestration of different elements and different, we've got warmer climate and cooler climate being blended together to kind of create a branded version of this grape variety, and really, really pretty, and I think very likable and very generous in many ways as well. I hope you like that type of description.
Yeah.
But truly deep and dense, and almost feel like fruit skins in my mouth. So this has got a wonderful mouthfeel to it. How long have you been with Robert Hall?
I've been here since 2016, making wine since 2013.
Great. Well, you've got a great visible entryway along the highway there. I pass you quite often, and I'll make sure I'll turn in and come and say hi next time.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you for allowing us to taste your beautiful wine.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Any questions?
There's one that they want to know how you keep your below ground storage so spotless.
So Don and I are neat freaks, but also I think 50% of winemaking is sanitation. It's just really important to us, and so we do weekly audits, and it's everybody's job to keep a clean house. So.
Question just came in: is still family owned and operated?
So the Hall family sold Robert Hall in 2016 to O'Neill Vintners and Distillers, which is a family-owned company. Robert passed away in 2014, and his widow decided to sell in 2016. O'Neill is great. They continue to give us cool barrels, vineyards. It's been a blast.
Well, thank you for being part of the success story of Paso. And I'm always thrilled to taste the wines from your winery. They're always really, really beautifully done and represent a large number of price points, but they're always very dependable. And Robert Hall is open for appointments now. What is the status? And as we are in pandemic, are you allowed to make appointments to come to the winery yet?
We prefer appointments. We also have a chef on site who does pairings, which has been a lot of fun to kind of work on with him. So definitely come out and join us for outdoor tasting.
Cool. Mireia, are you open for appointments in Santa Rita Hills?
Yes, we are. Also outdoor tasting and by appointment only. So yeah.
Okay, good.
We're also doing a lot of virtual kits and things like that. So if you don't feel comfortable coming to the winery, we can always ship you a kit and do a Zoom with just our different wines. So
great, cool. Yeah. And Jason, are you guys seeing people up there in Paso? I think Jason's still there, but maybe frozen. So we'll say hi to Jason. I think his tasting room is open by appointment. All right. So we're going to move into our discussion with Mr. Truchard.
Thanks, Ian.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Cool. And we're finding you in the beautiful Carneros, southern Napa Valley.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been farming up here since 1974, and you know, we started with the traditional kind of Napa Carneros varieties like not Syrah, but Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and then we planted some Cabernet Merlot and Cabernet Franc in the early 70s to kind of do like a Bordeaux style blend. But kind of an interesting thing happened in the late 80s that led us to plant Syrah on our property. You know, Carneros isn't typically known for Syrah, and there's actually not a lot of it planted here. I think ourselves and then the two vineyards to the south of us, Hyde and Hudson, are really the only ones that have any significant amount of Syrah and Carneros. But back in the late 80s, we farmed about 270 acres here. We were getting ready to plant about a 15-acre parcel, really steep hillsides, about 30% slopes. And when before you plant, the first thing you do is kind of rip the soil. You send the tractor down with teeth going down about 3 to 4 feet and churn up all the soil. So when you plant the vines, that new young vines don't have to struggle through such dense soil. They have a little bit of broken up soil. Most of Carneros is really dominated by clay and marine sediment. But this northern portion of our property, when we went and ripped the soils, all this rock came up. Totally different soil than anything else we had on our property. And we're still kind of neophytes to the world of wine. We know a lot about Chardonnay and Pinot and Cabernet because we've been growing it for about 20 years. But one of our distributors / importers was doing a vineyard tour. And before we even planted, he's looking up at this hillside and he goes, "This reminds me of Hermitage. This doesn't look like anything else." So my dad's kind of scratching his head and going, "Hermitage?" Like to be honest, he didn't even know what grape was in Hermitage. But he looks it up, goes to the store, buys a couple samples, and we kind of fell in love with it. And so we decided to plant 5 acres of Syrah back in 1989. Now we have about, I think, 11 or 14 acres on the property. So we found some new sites where we planted it as well. The picture that you're looking at right now, the Syrah is behind those oaks that you see on the right. That's where the Syrah is up there. And it is so rocky. We still call the block the Rocks. So something fun and different. I know you have a little video, so I'll be quiet for a second.
just kind of takes us there.
Yeah, and you know, our property is really diverse, and I think that video shows a little bit of it. You know, people are like, you know, going. I think Jason had kind of mentioned it. There's parts on his property where he has this Syrah that there's no way you plant Pinot Noir, and so people are always asking us, so like, why do you have Pinot Noir and Cabernet and Syrah on the same property? Surely they can't all be good. And our answer is kind of similar to Jason's. Like, where we have our Cabernet planted, we couldn't plant Pinot Noir. It would never. It would ripen way too quick. We got too much sunshine, and vice versa. The spots that we have Pinot are kind of these east-facing slopes, don't get a lot of afternoon sun, and Pinot ripens beautifully there. But if we put it on the flip side of the hill, you'd get this real kind of baked jammy style. And then the other thing that was kind of what I was saying with the Syrah and the soil types, there's actually a fault line that runs right through our property. And so we had that earthquake back in 2014. There was literally a 6-mile deep crack in our property. You could only see the surface, which is about 1 or 2 inches, but yeah, it's been moving like that for the last couple million years. And so totally changing. One side of our property is traditional Napa, rocky, alluvial soil, volcanic soil, great for Syrah. The southern part of our property, clay, marine sediment, good for Merlot, Chardonnay, Pinot. This is, you know, I thought it was kind of interesting that we all chose to share the 2018 Syrah. And Ian, I'm a little disappointed you didn't send us tasting bales, because we're sitting here drinking all the wine from everybody else, or hearing about the delicious wine, and now I'm like on the website ordering the wine so I can try them.
Yeah, you know, that's what we tried to with, you know, with the pandemic, we had to pivot, and we started creating these little tasting jars, and they've been working out great. Mireia, do you like that small tasting type of kit thing?
Sure. It's been working really good for us, mainly with, you know, like corporation companies that want to do tasting with all their workers or like family members, like during Christmas time, holidays that, you know, you cannot travel and you still want to hang out with your family and friends. So it's been pretty interesting, and it's a way also to reach to someone that's in the other side of the States and they cannot come to your tasting room. So
Sure.
I think these virtual tastings and kits are here to stay.
I hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're working really great, and
Mm-hmm.
gets us a chance to get people in the room from all corners of the earth. And just like tonight, we've got over 100 people watching us tonight, and some people on Facebook as well. And, you know, getting us all to you know, one expensive hotel ballroom somewhere is quite a feat. And now we can do it a little bit more efficiently. And these tasting kits are working out pretty well, I think, especially for wines like the Syrah. They hold up really well in the little tasting kits, and so I would keep it in mind. Now, Tony, your style here in Carneros, if we've got a cool climate down in Santa Rita Hills, and we've got kind of a range of climates in Paso, how would you classify Carneros? It's on the cooler side, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I definitely think it's on the cooler side, much cooler than Paso. And, you know, I think kind of on par with Santa Rita Hills. I mean, when you think of Santa Rita Hills, you think of Pinot Noir. When you think of Carneros, you think of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So I think I'm not looking at any of the scales. And I went to school at UC Santa Barbara, so I know the area fairly well. And I feel, yeah, that it would be more akin to kind of that Santa Barbara region. And we definitely consider our Syrah a cool climate Syrah. When you're smelling it, you get more of that kind of white pepper and bacon fat. And the interesting thing about Carneros, though, is the clay soils don't lend themselves to Syrah. Syrah is a pretty vigorous vine. And so with that clay soil trapping the moisture, it just doesn't work. And so like Hudson and ourselves can only plant the Syrah in certain parts where you have these kind of volcanic outcroppings. We've tried a little bit on some sandstone and a little bit on clay, and we actually ended up grafting that over after 2 or 3 vintages because it never made the blend. So I think 2 things are important for us, at least having that cool climate, getting those really kind of spice aromatics for that cool climate, but then making sure we have really well drained. And I think Jason said it as well, Syrah loves hillsides. Lager Meredith, our neighbor up the street, Carol Meredith, always has a quote that Syrah loves of you. It does really well on the hilltop. So if you're looking at this picture right now that Ian just shared, our Syrah, if you look at that lone tree at the very top of the screen, that's where our Syrah is planted, at the very top of the hill. Syrah, basically you want to have Syrah where nothing else will grow because it's a pretty vigorous vine. And so at the top of the hill, the soils are pretty depleted because, down in the valleys, we have our Chardonnay, which likes a little more fertile side. But like I said, Syrah, I love that quote, is that Syrah likes a view. It likes to be at the top of the hill where there's really kind of very, very poor soil.
Cool. And how long did this spend time in wood?
So our Syrah is about 10 months in barrel. It's funny, we use barrique, but we every year we dialed it back. Our winemaker has been with us since 1998. And at that time, we were probably about 30% new oak. Now we're probably down to about 15 to 20% each vintage. Syrah has such an interesting innate spice and smokiness to it. And, you guys all know the story with the smoke taint. When we were selling grapes to other wineries, they can't really test Syrah for smoke taint because it has those chemicals in it already, that the people that we sold Syrah to were like, we're not going to test it, we'll take it and make it. And everybody was happy with it. But it's kind of, that's one of the reasons we don't use a lot of oak on our Syrah, is that it's all French oak, but every year we've dialed back, taking less and less oak out of it because we really want to just taste the grape. And I think that's also our passion for farming is, we spend 11 months out of the year in the vineyards cultivating these vines, and we really don't want to layer oak on top of it, and then you can't really taste the purity of the Syrah.
Definitely has a different presence, and they're all fantastic. I would, this is quite a wonderful array of different presentations, but it really just comes down to site, because they're all really made to fit the unique features of each of the sites and really kind of expand on those features. And in this style here, I believe it does really play to that smokier side of the sweeter fruits and smoky accents that we're getting. And you said Hermitage earlier, and I really wonder how much that kind of influences you in your winemaking style, because it definitely has more of that old world characteristic too.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lot of the lower use of oak.
Yeah, and your alcohol here tends to be
about 14.3.
Yeah. So pretty restrained for Syrah, and but each one of them have that, all those threads that are so similar, but then they just kind of have these unique characteristics that swing back and forth based on where they're each from. And what is the cost of your Syrah?
Our cost is $30 on the Syrah.
Good. And anything else anyone would like to add? Craig, did you have any more questions or comments from the group? I see a number of questions in that box. And look at Jason's back. Jason's got video again.
I'm back.
Right. Cool. Well, here's your wine tasting note. Sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to cut that off.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Perfect. No, I mean, 18, I think probably throughout the whole state was one of these great vintages. We were really, really happy. I mean, our winemakers, vintages like, I came back to the winery in 2005 to manage the winery side. My father's 82 and he's still out in the vineyards every day. So I came back to handle like the sales and marketing, and our winemaker's been with us for about 20 years. But vintages like 18, he always likes to say, this is the year I didn't have to go to school. Like these wines kind of made themselves. Years like 11 and other years, you kind of open up your playbook, but this year you just kind of let the wines make themselves.
So Anthony, Tom Hill notes he finds a distinct black olive tapenade character in Carneros Syrah.
You know what? It's so funny. That olive tapenade actually runs through a lot of our wines, not the Pinot Noir, but almost all of the Bordeaux reds as well, especially when they have a 2 or 3 years of age. And I don't know if that's kind of the, some people say there's a saltiness in the Carneros wines. and kind of that cured olive that you get. But that's kind of a theme. And as the wines get older, you get more and more of it in the wine. And so I think that's partly Syrah, but I also think that's just the area, because you can see that in our Merlot and our Cabernet too, especially after 2 or 3 years.
How about orange zest? Do you get any of that orange zest in that? And you're probably more prolific in the Merlot presentation, but I immediately thought of Carneros and orange zest, and to look for that. Do you find that in your Syrah as well?
I not as much. I think the olive tapenade and the cedar are kind of the qualities that we kind of find most, that we from year to year, and that we kind of think are kind of a house style, or not a